Well, Charles, are they saying that this election was a landslide or just a flattening or what?
It wasn't, I wouldn't call it a landslide, but it is so much at variance from what the punditry, the expert idiots were all saying that...
Expert idiots.
You know, I mean, when you go back, and I think back to the amount of time I've wasted flipping channels on MSNBC or CNN or the ABC, NBC, CBS.
That's any amount of time on those channels.
Unless it's sports or action or Magnum or something like that, but Y50. But any of the political punditry, they were so freaking wrong about everything. Now, in the case of Youngkin, it was interesting to watch the votes come in last
Before we get into your detailed analysis, because I do want to spend a lot of time on that, we're starting here outside the student art exhibit.
No, this is your stuff, right? Didn't you do this?
I cannot draw that well.
I can't either.
But this is the Fashion Institute of Technology, and the reason why I wanted to start here, Charles, is that maybe every semester or every year or whatever, I don't know if this is a contest or an assignment or what, but it's frequently, there's very talented students here, and I wanted people to be able to see this and to just observe how 2 years into this pandemic, how is this affecting the artistic minds of our young students? And here we already see the first painting features some coronavirus molecules.
And you see
yes, and the man in the moon.
Well, that's also a coronavirus, right?
Yes, with the face on it.
Yeah.
Like Fritz Lang's Journey to the Moon.
Incidentally, I mean, we should really, I think, send a message to the Dean of the Fashion Institute of Technology.
Saying what?
Well, and their financial woes are over. I mean, if you got artists that can do this,
That's
$500,000 a painting,
exactly.
You could crank up a Harvard-style endowment. You sell these things,
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, you know what is a little bit, I don't know if it's interesting or sad, but this art is fleeting because after oh look, that's the Goodman standpipe over there.
And here the Goodman, fully sprinklered
Excellent.
Goodman Center. I mean, you're so modest about all the many philanthropic gifts you do around the country.
But it becomes part of the intrigue of these works is that they're temporary. So here's one that features, syringes. And,
nice.
Yeah. Oh, look, here's a new resident of New York City keeping social distancing and masking. But there seems to be kind of a lot of references to coronavirus.
Right. I have to say, this art, in my opinion, not as an art expert, there's nothing. It's obviously juvenile. I mean, it's not. I don't see anything
Let's
here.
call it immature, not juvenile.
Yeah. That's better. That's a better term. Yeah. It's there. But oftentimes, kids 10, 12, 14, you can see, are often gifted way beyond their years. This is just okay. You can draw. I mean, this thing.
Well, I mean, again, it shows technical skill and maybe some immaturity in some of the artists who will hopefully develop throughout their careers at college. But I just thought it would be nice for people to see. I noticed they were painting it the other day, and I like to walk by here and just see what's going on.
So this is obviously just a poster, but that's really somewhat interesting, right? It's just something about the use of the rose in fashion and the way they've integrated the rose into the garment.
It's ravishing.
I mean, it's quite interesting, right? That's an interesting painting. If it were an oil painting, it'd be the kind of thing that I'd want to maybe get.
Now, let's just make sure we're live and everything is working. We are. We got our new system here today, Charles, and I've been telling people frequently about some of the alternative platforms that they can watch Crowdsource the Truth on.
Right.
I've been a bit remiss in not mentioning Odyssey.com. That is another platform that we live stream on, and I want to make sure that people know about these alternative platforms because YouTube is, constantly, kicking people off. So we're on Odyssey.com / I think it's at Crowdsource the Truth. And if you just go on Odyssey and search for Crowdsource the Truth, you'll definitely find it. And of course, Charles, we are on Rumble again, rumble.com / user / CS the Truth. Yeah, some of these are a little bit stuff you draw on a notebook in high school.
Right, or 8th grade. But
somebody's smoking legal weed right there.
So we're on Odyssey. Joe Biden's on Idiocy.
Exactly. Idiocracy. So did he, cake the bed or anything today, or is he?
Well, I haven't heard how he's reacted as yet. I mean, the problem for this team is it's a lot like 16 when Hillary tried very hard to rig. She rigged the primaries, and she thought she'd rigged and paid for the general election, and that didn't work so well.
Wasn't Terry McAuliffe involved with her trying to pay for
Centrally
that?
involved. Well, I don't know about. He was the chair.
DNC, right?
He was the chair of her campaign in 2007 and 8. What his role? Podesta was the chair of the 16 campaign. I'm not sure what.
Right.
But all these insiders were behaving as if they knew what the outcome was going to be.
Right.
That Youngkin would be flattened. That the progressives, who had AOC had backed all these idiots around the country, that they would all triumph at the polls. And while there were a few victories for Democrats in some of the races, in race after race, I mean, there's this guy I think for the New Jersey legislature who was going up against I think the leader of the Senate.
Hang on 1 second, just join me right here.
Sure. He's going up against the leader of the Senate, and he spent a grand total. This guy's a truck driver, and he spent less than $200 on his campaign, and he may have beaten him. We don't know.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Well, I think that is awesome.
I agree. That's regular people doing good stuff. This looks like it has Super Cruise, Charles.
What is Super Cruise?
It's the automatic. It has it. The self-driving from Cadillac, which
Wow.
people say is better than Tesla right now.
Huh. It certainly is a big car.
So that guy paid $200 and
Less than $200, and he may. We don't know. This is a very important local race in New Jersey, and there's a lot of big money at stake. And New Jersey is notoriously corrupt.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see what really happened here. What's interesting to me about this election is just how wrong everybody was. First of all, in their projections on 2021. And last night, MSNBC, I watched a bit of that because they were actually halfway decent. Just on their.
Did they fire Rachel Maddow?
No, she was bloviating. But with the Steve Kornacki, I think is the guy's name, who's one of the numbers guys.
The great Karnacki.
Right, yeah. The great Kornak. But anyway, he was taking people through county by county in Virginia and here and there. And he would always say his baseline to see how things were going was, well, in 2020, Biden won this county by this and such percentage over Trump. And so when I look at that and watch the results come in and see this unknown guy, Youngkin, who's a wealthy businessman, former president of Carlyle Group, and I know you don't like Carlyle
Yeah,
Group.
I really don't like that.
Well, I'm not as negative on that, but I have concerns about it, but I'm not
What
as
was he in the Council on Foreign Relations?
Probably,
Do we know?
I don't know.
Oh God.
I haven't checked. But anyway,
I bet you he
maybe
was.
it's going on.
Oh
check.
man, is he from Yale?
I'm just like goading you at this point.
Probably is.
But,
I bet you he has Dershowitz for his lawyer too.
No, I don't know about that. but the thing that I found interesting, as I looked at this, I said, well, wait a minute. If this unknown with far less adept political skills than Donald Trump, and without the same experience in marketing and campaigning and money,
just public notoriety.
right? Trump's been a celebrity for 40
Forever.
years or whatever. If he can do better than Trump did
It's pretty good.
against Biden, does that cause us to go back and say, well, maybe in Virginia, where everyone accepted that it's a blue state and of course Biden would win?
We got to be careful. We're not in the First Amendment forum.
All right. Well, but this is, I don't know if things are changing on this, because I was hearing this last night on different stations. People are going to say, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. We can't reconcile his victory. And we also, that calls us to go back and say, oh, what really happened in 2020? So.
Right.
But
No, I mean, I agree with you.
But what happened, no time to die.
No time to absolutely flop at the box office.
Right. But
Actually, plenty of time for that. Hey, look, they moved the digital screen to here. This is new. That was never a screen before.
yeah, that's I'll take your word
I
for
know.
that
Hey,
one.
what are they building here? This is some new section of Penn Station.
I think they must just be reconfiguring the whole thing. But
Just one quick technical note, Charles. We're testing the new system over here. Right here is absolute signal dead zone normally. So we'll try it out.
it's pretty good.
So yeah, Youngkin did an impressive job given all those parameters.
Well,
What is this guy?
There's a
What?
place-
Stop with the honking, man. There's nowhere for you to go. You shouldn't have come through the light.
There's a police car right behind him, just ignoring it. Too.
Of course.
Moron.
Really, this guy just
Probably
jammed up the whole entire...
He's
Look
probably
at-
got a shotgun in there, though. So let's just leave him
Let him
alone.
pull it out. I'll stick it up his ass.
Watch yourself.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
Anyway.
Youngkin.
So yeah, Youngkin's victory is fascinating, but even more impressive was the acceptance speech of the lieutenant governor. Did you hear?
I did not
This
hear it.
is
That's a
woman
black
named-
woman with a gun.
Jamaican origin, or I think her father was from Jamaica. Remember, Kamala Harris's father was from Jamaica, and she got up and gave a unbelievably impressive acceptance speech.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
Where she said, listen, you know, I am tired of labels. I'm an American. The other side has been trying to divide good people across this land.
I like her already.
You know, and she goes, we moved here in the 60s when there was segregation.
Then you had a beef.
Right. Now she said, we own the water fountains, she said.
Water fountains?
Oh, well, back then,
Right.
Different drinking.
Right. Do you want to go in here?
Sure.
This is good to revisit, Charles. This is where
See
we
if
got
we
attacked
survive. Here's a homeless person
on
right
the
here.
first day.
Yeah, on the first day
Our
of.
first venturing out here.
And this
Let's
is
just give this a minute
infrastructure.
to go down a bit.
Sure, infrastructure at work here. I mean, this thing is repaired, I think, almost every year, and it's always broken. These steps are probably the same way they were.
Yeah, I was
60
gonna
years
say, I
ago.
don't think it's been repaired in 30 years.
Well, no, they probably say every year they're repairing it, but it's not repaired.
So we're in Penn Station here, Charles. This is like the central hub for travel
Belly
to
of
and
the
from
beast.
Long Island, and also to Amtrak to get to Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia and elsewhere around the country by train.
Well, interestingly, Jason, we're going to go to Amtrak, I guess. Well, it's exactly the way we went before. Now we have Army people.
Yes.
Then, in the first days of the pandemic,
Nobody,
we had
but
nobody in here.
Homeless.
And you were attacked immediately. We
Yeah.
went in here. Your thing was not going to. We ran out of here.
Yeah.
And it's all of that's on tape. But they've
Better
spent,
now.
I don't know how much money redoing the thing across the street.
The
Which is
Moynihan
the
thing?
Moynihan Station, but as last time I had to use it, you can't enter through the Moynihan Station because the escalators don't work down.
And Cuomo did that whole big presentation.
Did you get an Emmy for that too?
I don't know.
But actually these are, I mean, I'm amazed they don't want to.
Well, I'm surprised that's closed.
A lot of these stores are subcontracted out. There's one near you that's out of business. I'm amazed that they let this thing,
It's a little bit of a...
I don't know,
Yeah.
it's not exactly politically correct.
Right.
And here, of course, we have your favorite donut shop.
They do have tasty donuts, but
So let's walk around into the Amtrak area
Sure.
and then out, and we'll see. This is significantly improved over 6 months ago.
I agree with that. Now, wait a minute. Are they having a Mrs. Doubtfire, new musical comedy? I tell you, they never run out of stupid ideas.
But I started to
Yes.
say, comparing this lieutenant governor to Kamala Harris,
Make her vice
that's
president.
I wouldn't, if I were Kamala Harris, what I would do is I'd say, you know, Joe, I've had a good run. Get George Soros to wire me $100 million, and I'm not going into the ring with this woman because it will not be a close fight.
No.
This is somebody, and oftentimes you see this in first generation kids whose parents left troubled places to come
Right.
here and find a better life in 30 years. The children of those parents often are the most passionate defenders of this country.
Right.
Whereas it's the spoiled brat people like me who've been, and I don't consider myself a spoiled brat, but
Well, but we grew up with all this advantage, and
Right.
someone who knows what it's like to be living in a pit,
right.
coming here and seeing how much better it is,
Right. And
even
truly,
with all this stuff closed.
and I've only been to about, at this point, 70 countries. There are, I think, 200.
Only.
Well, that's only a third. But I could say with this, with the experience of those 70 countries, including living in Africa for months at a time, the poorest person in this room is miles richer than a truly needy person in the African bush or the Indian bush, or you name any bush you want to describe. This is a lot busier.
And calmer. It is not the sense of we're about to be attacked.
Which probably means we're about to be attacked.
No, I mean, you got the army over there deterring any truly... Well, this is
Amtrak
weird.
police.
Why don't they have the cops here? Normally there's always cops.
Well, they generally have the cops next to Penn State, next to...
They're here too, though.
but these are the... Is that police or Amtrak
This
police?
is Amtrak police, and they're supposed to be watching this area and making rude comments if you ask them anything sensible.
Did we just walk by Krispy Kreme?
Oh, they must be there.
There's also Dunkin' Donuts over there.
That's true. How many donuts do people need?
Right.
We could check out that Moynihan thing if you want.
We can't go in there without a mask on.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I think they
I
lifted
have
that.
a mask, but...
Nah, we're not.
So, that was not bad. Let's see how big the flock of beggars is out here. Because generally there's a big flock waiting to hassle people coming in and out.
You could just go out there and be like, "What the flock?" What is the lieutenant governor's name? Do we?
I think it's
we'll
something
look it
like
up.
Winsome Sears. It's an interesting name, but just her composure and the way she explained herself, and she's a very charismatic person. And this is a major league accomplishment. She's the first female and the first black
Wow.
lieutenant governor in Virginia, and immediately, of course, Youngkin wins. And the first thing MSNBC accuses him of is racism.
Right.
His lieutenant governor, the Republican he's running with, is a Jamaican, descendant from Jamaica. So he's
Didn't
a
they
racist.
also
It's
already
obvious.
call her a white supremacist because
Oh.
she had a gun? Somebody you know?
No. Yeah, that's the Biden brain trust.
That's exactly right. So where should we go to now, Charles?
You know, we've been. Do you want to go far west and up?
Sure.
We haven't done that in a
Yeah.
while. Walk by the side of the Moynihan Center, which is over here.
Let's do it.
Moynihan Train Hall.
Well, so what's going to happen now to Virginia with Youngkin and Fears over there?
I think what should happen, actually, and it's interesting that I really want to spend several minutes on Mcauliffe, the douchebag,
Sure.
criminal, finally did concede. I was worried that he would go and pull a Hillary Clinton, and because I don't know if you remember this book that I have been reading, What a Party, which may or may not have been written by him, but has his name on it,
Right.
with some other guy. This book is the kind of book by Terry Mcauliffe. It was published the 23rd of January, 2007. Hillary Clinton announced for president the first time January 20th, so 3 days before. And books have a lead time, so
Right.
he had to get it finished, whatever. So they planned to have it 3 days after her announcement. He ran her campaign. He financed her campaign. But in this book, among other things, it talks about how George W. Bush, in Mcauliffe's mind, says this over and over in the book, was selected, not elected. It wasn't a legitimate election. And he brags about all the money he raised for the Clintons at moments in time when nobody would give them money. So after various scandals, he was the guy who put the money together
Doing all the illegal stuff.
for the 1996. Exactly. And what this person is, and he recounts, though, first-person versions of meetings with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. Bill, I'm concerned about my legal expenses. I don't know how I'm going to pay them. Don't worry, Bill.
Bill says that to Terry?
Yeah, according to Terry. On January 12th, I think it is, January 12th, 1998. This is just as the Clinton Foundation is putting its papers together. Colonel
Looks like
Sanders?
Carlos Santana.
Or Colonel Sanders?
Well, so here's one of the entrances. I haven't seen this before.
Well, it's a great entrance. The only problem is,
I think you don't need a mask anymore. They took that away. It's sort of just go on the train. Let's take a look inside.
all right, yeah.
So
Everyone's
Bill
sort of
tells
jockeying to
Terry
put a mask
Mcauliffe
on. Let's just
that he
say-
needs money.
On numerous occasions, Mcauliffe says, "Don't worry, I've got the money. You have nothing to worry about." Still, we have to wear masks.
Oh, he does?
Yes.
Where does it say that?
Federal law still requires.
Federal law? That's
this
not
is-
correct, is it?
This is.
That's a federal law?
Yeah.
When did they pass that law?
This is federal property.
Oh, it is? The
Yeah.
train station?
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, no, it's not.
Why is that one not?
That's not.
I didn't. What's the
That's different owner.
See, that's something I want to learn more about.
Yeah.
What the hell is that all about? Because Cuomo was super excited about this piece of crap.
It's actually pretty nice looking inside, but just so I can finish. Sorry, 'cause I forget what I was talking about. And then we
So
don't
Bill
finish.
needs money, and Terry.
And on numerous occasions in this book, Terry Mcauliffe brags about how he stood up in '98 in January as they're putting the application in for the Clinton Foundation that doesn't say that anything about this legal expense trust or Terry Mcauliffe raising money or loans later for the Chapel House. None
probably
of that.
interest-free loans.
Well, of course. And but on more than just those two occasions, on many occasions, he raises money for some Millennium celebration in 1999 that they didn't want the taxpayers
That's like
to pay.
Kramer.
Right, but many times Terry has done this, and he has all these anecdotes which when you go into an index of a book and you see the book has a whole bunch of celebrities' names in it, typically with like 1 or 2 pages associated with each celebrity, you realize the book is all about name dropping.
Right.
And that's what this book is. It's just, I knew this, I made a fool of myself with this rich person. I did the same thing with this rich person. And I pushed this rich person around, and I did this, and I did that. And I'm a bore.
Pushed who around?
Well, I mean, I think I told you the story of Paul Simon. The whole thing, the pitch of the book
singer?
the pitch of the book is, I'm this kid from Syracuse, grew up poor, and I'm a success in business. Isn't that amazing? And then I decided, because I was a success early in business, to be a success in politics. Aren't I special? It's basically the tone of the book. The truth is that Terry Mcauliffe married the daughter of a very rich and powerful man in Florida.
Good move.
And as a guest, that man probably helped his career a lot.
I would think so.
And so I don't think that he got to where he was because of his smarts. But he's one of these guys who doesn't give a fuck about the rules, sort of like Clinton, both Clinton. And he'll insert himself. He realizes that politicians, he's got a really rich father-in-law. Politicians are extremely happy, back in the 80s and 90s, to corral $1 million at the beginning of a campaign. That's a lot of money. So, but it's not a lot of money if you're worth $10 billion and you want to have the president, if he wins,
be your buddy.
Not your buddy, be your boy.
Right.
And so this is a book. An election, had Gore won, he would have been the ambassador to the court of St. James, which
What is
would have
that?
England. And that's the most prestigious ambassadorship and the easiest to monumentally fuck up if you've got an Irish American guy, because they don't really like that very much even today in England, who's an arrogant fool, which Terry Mcauliffe is.
You're right.
And so it's his honor. He tells a story. When he was young, he was invited, I don't know how, to a party at Pamela Harriman's house, the famous
Avril Harriman.
Exactly. And
this guy is 1,000% scumbag.
Well, he's old money behind the Union Pacific Railroad, and I think maybe also Brown Brothers and other stuff. But anyway, and Pamela Harriman, I believe, was married a number of different times. There are negative comments made about
Brown Brothers Harriman a thing?
Yeah, that's it. Same family. And the Harriman family is old family. But anyway, so she invites Terry, and he's young, to some party, and he walks up to a guy and says, "Hi, who are you?" And the guy says, "Well, I'm Paul Simon." And what's his name? Mcauliffe decides that he's going to be a jackass, which is not.
He decides, or that's just a genetic development?
No, he doesn't turn the jackass switch off. And he says, "Oh, you look really good, Senator Simon." And the guy said, because there was a guy called.
It's the Garfunkel, Simon.
Let me tell the story. You're ruining it.
I don't get it. Sorry.
You steal my punchlines right
Senator Simon.
Anyway,
okay.
so Paul Simon says, no, I'm kind of into music. and Mcauliffe says something like, "Well, will I know any of your songs?"
What a dope.
And he goes, and he's writing this in the book. He's a young.
He wants you to know
punk.
how stupid he is.
Was a young punk who was prepared to break the rules. The people who needed somebody like that said, let's have him raise money illegally for all sorts of things and not report it, and let's let him grift. He can get paid back by doing stupid-ass deals, and right now he's under FBI investigation.
Mcauliffe is now?
Absolutely, for something unrelated to the campaign.
What is this?
It's Amazon.
No, that. This is Amazon?
Yeah, right there.
What do you mean?
Amazon HQ.
Holy cow, I did not know that. And then what the hell are all these dots?
This is probably somebody's second wife, knew a designer, and they proposed this project, and they have a 30-page memo about the cosmic significance of this design. Probably cost $25 million. Kidding.
Got Chase in there also, Charles.
Yeah. They're everywhere.
Wow, I did not know that this was Amazon headquarters.
Or it's an Amazon office, yeah. So this, by the way, we haven't been over here in a while.
It's pretty, like they're getting a lot of work done.
It's a different city, basically.
I agree.
mean, it's like we could be in Texas or something.
Well, this would be the entire city almost anywhere else. And here it's just like a dot.
It's a new part of the city you and I haven't been to before. It's 10th Avenue. So continuing though on Mcauliffe, a woman.
Not infallible, Charles, but let's see if it's better
Right.
at reconnecting. Hopefully, hang on, give me just a second and we'll make sure that we're still on there. So, all right, well, we're learning more about this new system. Hopefully it's going to reconnect without issue here. Just give me 1 second. So, it's, some people say buffering, first buffer of the
This
day
34th
here.
Street is where it gets rough right here.
Let's see if
Up
we
and
can
down
get it
34th.
back. Well, it's a test. This is a stress test of the new system. We still have black on the receiver here, so I don't know if we're back or not.
This is near the Echo Health Alliance offices.
We could stop by and say hello. Take a lunch order.
Are we still on or no?
I'm trying to get back to it here
Okay.
and see, and of course YouTube is now not cooperating. It's something.
Let's get you fully on the sidewalk so you don't get slammed.
We're on, but I'm not getting. Oh wait.
There we are.
Yes, but is it back? Okay, we're back.
Yeah, so where were we? So
so
the
this
second.
woman wrote a book about Terry Mcauliffe, or an article.
All right, she wrote an article, and she knows the first instance, the second child, he brags about leaving her alone in the hospital to go to a party. The third child, he brags about coming back from the hospital with a little the first kid, the second kid now a newborn, and the wife having gone through childbirth, which is
Kind of rigorous.
it's not a walk in the park,
Right.
even if there are no complications. And Mcauliffe pulls the car over and says, I need to go to this political event for 15 minutes or so, and leaves the family in the car with the wife.
Why is the wife even still around for 3 kids?
I don't know,
amazing.
because ultimately she has 5 with him.
Oh my God.
And so
This is before or after the lobotomy?
But the thing of it is, you and I both know people like this. They're wiseacres who the rules don't apply to them. They're just going to go into the dark corners underneath the boundaries of the law, and they're just going to get the job done. And constantly what Mcauliffe says in this book is, look, don't worry about money, I'll get you the money. Now, whenever anybody says that to me, I say, nice knowing you.
Right.
Because that is exactly what you do not want to hear. Particularly if you're a political person, which I've never been, you care how that money was raised.
Right.
You don't want to find out, well, why I was able to get this money so quickly because I got it from the Gambino family.
Right.
Don't worry, all you have to do is...
Oh. Charles, $4.65, $4.85 for gas.
Great job, Biden. Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah.
So this Mcauliffe guy, though, I have assumed in this project of exposing the Clinton Foundation that I will never seek nor get the opportunity to speak to anybody on the other team. And I just, wow, look at that building.
That's the Javits.
That's pretty big.
Let's just look over here for one quick second. So if you want to use a credit card at this gas station, Charles.
$5.69.
Right.
So typical car gets what, 15 miles, 15 gallons?
Mine's getting 49 per.
No, but how many? All right, so that's $100 to fill up your car.
That's crazy. I mean, it was $2.69 for a gallon of gas when I was on the road trip. That was the beginning of this year.
It's nuts. But great job, Joe.
Now, to be fair, this gas station, there's not that many gas stations, but That's still crazy.
Right. So if I could just finish
sorry.
on McAuliffe. So with McAuliffe, he was, of the many demons who were on the board of the Clinton Foundation, he was the one who, until 2013, when they expanded the board, who had any, in quotes, business experience.
Right.
The others were all political hacks. So he was the person who, if you're going to start suing the Clinton Foundation for the period of time when he was a trustee, which was from 2000 to 2013, 14 years. In no year, in no period that when he was a trustee, was any Clinton Foundation form accurate. I mean, they were all materially misleading, omitted key facts, had mathematical errors, were gross violation of numerous state, federal, and foreign laws. And here this guy's a trustee claiming responsibility in 2001 through 5 for raising the required endowment and construction costs of the thing. What he neglects to disclose in the 990s is that he's also chair of the Democratic National Committee at the same time, soliciting money for the Democratic Party, for different campaigns, for John Kerry in 2004, and for the Clinton Foundation to the same people.
Yeah, I'm walking. You're coming out of the store. Don't just jam your thing into me and say hello.
It's a baby, though.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, the door opens, there's people in the street. You don't just shove your thing out into the street.
Yeah. So it's basically, even if it were a well-run 501c3, it's dangerous to go have a meeting and say, look, I'm here to talk to you about 3 things. I want you to give money to the Democratic Party, I want you to give money to the Clinton Foundation, and I want you to give money to this John Kerry campaign. You're not supposed to be doing that cross-marketing, and you're especially not supposed to be doing that if the entity in question is a public charity, which is what the Clinton Foundation is, standing in the shoes of government. So it is reprehensible that the FBI did not see this from 2001 to 2005, when they spent 4 years and, by their own admission, looked at thousands of documents, and they didn't see this obvious fraud. And the point person on the investigation initially was James Comey. The head of the FBI was Mueller. He was personally briefed. Rod Rosenstein was on the case. And this is a 4-year period where they just made a decision, we're just going to let this mammoth fraud roll. We're not going to do anything about it. Thereby,
So let's head into the city
Sure.
a little, because we're getting crappy signal over here. I'm sorry to be so distracted.
That's
It's just
okay.
a lot of people are having...
I thought you just want to get a good case out of this garbage here. You can get a nice vacuum cleaner,
They
Jason.
seem like they maybe made a point last week and have kind of started to pick it up a little bit again.
Where do you draw that conclusion? Look at this.
Well, because, I mean, like on Saturday, I think, there was so much garbage around, I couldn't believe it.
Well, it's a lot right here.
Yeah, but not quite.
Kind of an interesting view of the Upper West Side here from this vantage point. So, so we go back to the period 1 through 5. Indefensible that they failed to tag the Clinton Foundation back then. Watch yourself.
Yeah, that's a little
But,
pile of turd. Biden must have been here earlier.
Yeah, he was here.
So something weird is
ahead.
happening, because now it's playing the part where we were at the gas station, but hopefully people will get this. I don't know.
And here we have somebody I think who's living.
Oh, wait. Is this engine 50? Are we on 38th Street?
No. That's engine 34, it says.
This is one of the ones that's closed. I think those firefighters that we saw on Sunday, Charles, were organizing to have this kind of sick out, but based on the firefighters that I've known, they're too responsible and
Right.
kind to just leave people in the lurch. And perhaps they decided, like, which are the least busy
Right.
firehouses that will make a point but have not a huge impact, and this one is closed.
Yeah.
I'm glad we happened by that. I wanted to see that.
I think this is somebody living there, maybe.
In there, yeah.
So,
So Mcauliffe is raising all this money at the same time.
right, and then, so it's understandable perhaps, it's not all that understandable why under George W. Bush they allowed this to slide, unless the Clintons had dirt on George W. Bush, which I believe they probably did.
Yeah.
But how do you explain, where are these thousands of pages that are not contained in the FBI vault dump, which is a 3-part dump that totals about 1,000 pages? By
What
their own-
pages of missing Bush emails?
No, there's that, but just staying on the Clinton Foundation, they're in the memos that they have released among the 1,000 pages in the 3-part dump. In portions they say, we expect to receive thousands of pages of document. All they provided to the public so far is 1,000 pages. That's not thousands, plural. And there must be a lot of missing stuff. Where is all that stuff? And then most importantly, according to Horowitz, I.G. Horowitz, who's the Inspector General for the Justice Department, there were 2 FBI investigations opened into the Clinton Foundation in 2016. What did they go into this?
Are they in the vault?
Nothing yet is out on them.
Huh.
So when I keep coming back to Durham, the real question for Durham is not Russiagate alone, but what were the Clintons and the Obamas so worried about Trump finding once he became president? And I think it's this. I think that the Clinton Foundation has been used as a majorly money laundering exercise, trading cash for influence, going back before 1997 when it was an attempt was made to organize it. And I think a further concern is the degree to which people in both parties have sold Americans out to China and India, something that happened particularly swiftly under Bill Clinton's presidency from 93 to 2001, January to January.
Right.
So that's...
I mean, isn't that sort of obvious that they've been doing that? I mean,
well,
you've
obvious,
been saying
but,
that for years.
Well, but the point is that there hasn't been a political will to go for this yet and expose it. But I think that is, I'm jumping around a bit, but I think that's changing now as to politics, because the epic fail at the polls yesterday for Democrats, not simply in Virginia, but across the country, means that both bills are not going to make it so swiftly across the line in Congress.
Build back better.
Build barf better. You want to go where are we now? Do you want to go up 8th, or you want to go?
I just can't tell if it's playing or not. We've never had a weird delay like this before.
Maybe
let's
it's not.
go here to Times Square and see. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a
Playing?
healthy stream, but hopefully we'll get somewhere that people can start getting it back to. I think when we're done, it'll all upload there eventually. But
You want to stop by for Esposito Meat Market?
I bet you it's a good butcher.
Oh, I bet so. Yeah. Anytime you see a butcher like this with a sort of a
That's
dingy
old
outside,
school.
yeah. And but
So we're in Hell's Kitchen here.
spick and span inside. I bet you that meat is very good. And probably the prices are reasonable. Not sure I like any of that.
That's like pork, I think, no? There's not that many people in there. When I used to come by here, it was a big line at the counter.
Some of those steaks, pretty good. That Mr. Rockefeller?
Yeah, that guy was really.
Jesus.
Anyway.
With neither the infrastructure bill nor the reconciliation bill coming together now, because I mean,
To wreck the entire country, Bill?
right. Well, the details aren't written for either bill, and so they would be passing something blind again and signing us up for more bullshit.
I don't understand how they can do that. Just sign a thing and they don't know what's in it?
Well, it's the media is complicit with academia. Both parties get their grifts, and they just put in pet projects and figure you're never going to understand what it is that they actually voted for, but you got yours. So in this climate, with debt now rising even from the level Obama gifted us with in January of 2017, the U.S. debt is out of control. And the ability to tax incomes, I think, is not there, because we're already disproportionately taxing the rich, and then you reach a point where the rich figure out how, under any system, not to pay the taxes that you're counting on.
Right.
By just deciding not to take a profit or not make an investment or leave the country or whatever.
Leave the country, right.
Yeah, they have flexibility that the average person does not have, because they have wealth in addition to income. So I think, though, the good news of all this, the penny should finally drop that a very simple place to get a lot of money quickly would be to make an example of Bill Gates,
Right.
and some monopolists who have foundations who've been behaving badly and grifting badly for decades to protect their monopolistic interests. These people, to the extent they're centrally involved with foundations, could have, if the Department of Justice and the IRS decides to do something about it, massive exposure to the tune of, we okay?
I'm just super frustrated because it's unclear if it's working or not. We're stuck on this thing at the gas station. I mean, this says it is going, but people are saying buffering. Jason is getting heat. He did a solo walk with no buffering. Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, why is it suddenly not working? This was like the ultimate fix. Maybe we're just too far west over there. It is a new system, so anything could happen. But sorry, Charles. Maybe it'll work better now that we're closer. Maybe there's more 5G in the middle of Manhattan.
Yeah, we're in the center of the belly of the beast.
Hey, this is an escape room, Charles.
What?
Well, I
I'd say
mean,
escape room. That's like a video game center.
right.
Go ahead.
Not a video game. Like there's some actual. I think it's an actual game inside the building where they
I
pretend
think it's
that
pretty
you're
much
like locked in
pretty
there.
much out of business, but
All right. Okay. Anyway, hopefully this is going to work. I don't know. Sorry, everybody. Count how many times Charles says Clinton Foundation in a 5-minute period. What's the opposite of a trustee, Charles?
what? A dumbass.
I thought that's the only ones that they can get to be the trustees. It seems to be trying to work now. So okay. Anyway,
Right.
where were we?
I don't know, Jason. That's part of the problem.
Sorry. So Mcauliffe, the Clinton Foundation, they were worried that Trump was going to find out that it's being used as a massive money laundering operation.
Right. Well, I know what I was saying. So there's an opportunity now. We can go after the Bush Foundation. We can go after a bunch of Bill Gates foundations on the right and the left. So it's not.
But they're not talking like that. They just want to tax these guys, not the foundations.
But I think the penny is going to drop here because Bannon, who you could say you like him or dislike him, but before this was settled and the election was still contested and it hadn't been called for Biden, he warned that Biden's popularity was going to tank, and that once it tanked, that was the end of his presidency.
So
that
that's today.
happened. That happened yesterday. Yeah. So he has no political capital of any kind, and people in his own party are going to begin to stand up against him. For example, Senator, I think Merkley is his name, from Oregon. He is putting the kibosh on Rahm Emanuel's attempt to be an ambassador to Japan. He's a Democrat, he's going to vote against it. You're going to start seeing more of that, and of course, people will be emboldened, realizing that this whole, the set of decisions here, what we're going to do is we're going to be.
What's going on here?
The truck is stuck in the middle there. We're going to make a decision before a pivotal election to drag a whole bunch of idiots over
Wait a
to
minute.
what?
Well, look at this, like a whole little.
There's a police station around here, and there's a bunch of people there.
So they're going to make a decision to drag a whole bunch of people.
Well, they made a decision to allocate resources to. I think there's a major police office here. No, maybe not. I don't know what this is.
This is the mobile command center or something. Wow, what's going on?
I don't know.
Got to get the texting in, of course. Control. Borough, Manhattan.
This must be some concern about this. We're up here at Port Authority. Maybe they were worried about something, or they're protecting this gold store.
I don't know about that.
So, Jesus.
So they got these people stacked up who they're going to.
Yeah. Well, so you have in the Democratic Party, you have people who are the progressives are very much angered by Biden. To try to get these bills across,
Right.
They've gutted the progressive dreams. Now Manchin has said you could take this bill and go fuck yourself. We're not. I'm not voting for this bill. It's ridiculous. So without Manchin in the Senate, the watered down version that the progressives don't like is dead in the water. And any sense of urgency, the notion that we should just rush to sign something and do something is a stupid idea to begin with, and it won't fly. And so they're now going to be flummoxed. They're going to need a new pot of money to pay for all these plans. And as I say, an obvious place to do that from is these crooked charities. The money is in the charity. The charities have broken the law. The Clinton Foundation has a $200 million endowment sitting there invested in things. You shut that thing down. You send the trustees a large personal bill You claim that the thing is not actually an organization because it isn't, and the trustees have personal liability beyond what the organization has in assets, and that's a small foundation. Do the same thing with the Rockefellers, Gates, anybody who's been supporting this over decades.
I think all these guys have foundations.
Right, and in addition to that, you can go after the universities. You can say, look, you guys are not teaching, you're indoctrinating.
Right.
And you're profiteering off all this. So, wow.
What?
I've been over here in a while. Now, across the street, we have the world's least successful comic book company.
New York Slimes.
The only times I've been in there was in 2009 to do that story on GE. And I remember I had been many times to Bell Labs when I was a kid, and the Bell Labs offices for all these scientists, whatever, just, it was, they paid you to think, you know, they wanted to take care of you. They had a nice dining rooms and arrangements for all the employees. Similarly, in the New York Times, everything was over the top nice, coddling these journalists. I don't know how many floors they currently have. Doesn't look terribly occupied there. That's
I remember when they built this building, it feels like not that long ago. Did I ever tell you this story, Charles? I think I have, about the role this building played in the formation of Crowdsource the Truth.
You did not.
Well, I mean, everybody knows that I was doing 3D before I started this, and when that started to go downhill, I got into virtual reality. It's a crazy person. Anyway, I had designed a little 20-ounce virtual reality camera that was quite amazing, and I got invited to this symposium that was some kind of investment. Craziness is coming this way. Let's walk. Anyway, I got invited to this symposium inside there in the New York Times. They have a very, very impressive press room. And it was another one of these Wall Street types. I don't remember his name. I'm sure you would know who he is. But he came up there and he gave a blowhard speech that I had heard for 10 years in Hollywood about how this guy was saying VR, but it was you could replace VR for 3D, and it's every speech I'd been hearing for 10 years right before losing all my money. And he's like, this is going to be $1 billion industry. And I was like, you know what? And I got up and walked out and went home and started Crowdsource the Truth.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a good thing you did that. Whoa.
Wow, that guy just totally almost crashed into this person. And he's the security guard. Wow. Oh my God, Charles, it's crazy today.
Yeah, I have a different sense of the environment. To me, it seems like we're just ready for mayhem.
Yeah.
You know, it's just we're a hair's breadth away from utter mayhem.
This guy's sizing us up right here.
I saw that. Yeah, now normally there are a lot of grifters hanging around here. There's only the one guy there.
That guy looked like more of a troublemaker than a grifter.
Yeah. And here we have some police of some, maybe Port Authority police.
They've remade, oh, I missed it. That was an ad for that Tom Hanks movie, which is basically Turner and Hooch, but the dog is a robot in this one. And here's another, if you'd like to have a filthy Q-tip up your nose.
Right.
There it is.
And there we have, they've torn down some buildings there, right?
Huh. Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you realize this, Charles, but you know, Halloween the other day, we've got, I don't know if it's still there, but they have one of those haunted houses over here.
Yeah.
Times Square haunted house or whatever they call it.
Exactly what I would want to do. It's better to bring kids to that. You know?
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
I don't know.
So anyway,
I won't say who this was, but I took somebody to a haunted house one time, and you know they have these like people dressed as Frankenstein who jump out and scream at you. She became so frightened that she did a Joe Biden, and we had to leave.
Oh my God! Really? Oh God!
Number one.
Let's not talk about that further.
Sorry.
Let's change the topic, Jason.
Well,
right?
what has Joe Biden soiled anything today?
Not that I know.
Yeah.
He put a lid on public appearances today.
He did?
Yeah. Look, I think his ass and the Democrats got their asses. They kicked their own asses so hard they can't sit down. You know, it's going to be very tough, if not impossible, to come out of this. Now, there's several ways through it, and none of them are good. One is to let violence explode or encourage violence to explode in a flashpoint like Taiwan or another one like Ukraine. And I gave an interview this morning with a large Russian station, and they contacted me to comment on the situation in Ukraine.
Is there a fire over here?
I don't know.
Contact you to comment on Ukraine?
Yeah, and so there's a very interesting set of developments in Ukraine. So Ukraine, until very recently, had only two Orthodox religions. It had a Russian Orthodox church, and then it had, I think they called it a Kievan Orthodox church. And so these are churches that, unlike churches here in most churches here in America, Catholic churches that is, who would view the Pope as the leader of the Catholic Church, these churches in Russia and Ukraine and other places view a man called, I think, I don't want to get his name wrong, so I won't say it, but somebody based in modern day Istanbul, used to be called Constantinople. He
Turkey,
is
isn't it?
Yeah, it's in Turkey. He's the leader of these churches. And so a Ukrainian nationalist decided that they wanted to have a third Orthodox church, which they created which they created recently, and they're demanding that this church,
let's go right.
This church is now the official church in Ukraine, and the other two churches are they're trying to plunder their property and make it difficult to worship there. And this guy in Istanbul, the patriarch or whatever, he recognized the new church after meeting with Joe Biden.
Oh.
And so...
Why did he do that?
Well, I mean, this caused me to do some research and remember stuff that there was a despicable human being, I mean, a horrible human being called Victoria Nuland.
Yeah, I know her.
Yeah.
State Department.
She's married to...
Kagan. Scumbag in the Project for a New American Century. Huge Zionist, neocon asshole.
Right, going way back. Well, Bill Kristol.
Buddy of George Bush and Carlyle Group.
And Jeb Bush and
yes, all the
and all
guys.
these Richard Pearl and all these people. Well, anyway, Victoria Nuland
Dov Zakheim,
exactly. Victoria Nuland had a Senate confirmed position in the State Department under Bush. Then she went in under Obama, and she was centrally involved in the mess. I don't know if she was involved in the Middle East messes, but she was definitely involved screwing up in Ukraine. And she's the one. I don't know if she was involved in that.
Nuland?
But I just don't know.
Maybe not. You're right. Yeah, Ukraine was her big thing.
Right, and so for this team, first of all, to claim a progressive mandate, which is what they claimed once they won, when Joe Biden ran in theory as a moderate, a unifier, to claim a progressive mandate, right, and then fuck Afghanistan up to the point, there was a horrible story, I hope it's not true, but a story claiming that some father was begging the purchaser of his daughter not to beat her.
Oh my God.
A 55-year-old man purchased his 9-year-old daughter.
Oh my God.
You know, and you're going to come and say that this is a success, as Joe Biden has said, and Milley has said, with this withdrawal. On the heels of that, you're going to send mixed messages on Taiwan and then provoke Russia in Ukraine. When you go, we don't have a history before 1607 in this country that we know about. We probably do have a history.
Holy cow.
What?
Just that stench.
Yeah. That's the same stench we had before, right there.
It's a homeless person.
Yeah. Biden should be a homeless person. But anyway, this team is now provoking Russia, whose roots in what we call Ukraine today predate 1000 AD. You know, and we're going to let some asshole, Biden, start pushing against Russia's borders, pushing American interests to the east, in violation of assurances that Clinton had given Yeltsin.
You're right.
Right? We're going to do this, and there's going to be no public debate about it? You know, it's just, if Trump did this, and to be fair, Pompeo screwed up a little bit on this issue under Trump, and Trump should have done a better job, but it's just these two things could take all the domestic political haggling right off the front pages. If we had shooting war over Taiwan, or troops moving across the Russian border into Ukraine. Because the Russians, you've been to Ukraine, you have stronger ties to Ukraine than I do, but I may have been there more.
Ties.
I've been there more, I think.
I was only there once.
I was there 15 times.
Well, that's more.
but and in some cases for 3 weeks.
Let's check out Times Square for a minute.
I've brought a cigarette lighter so we could set the
to do what?
we could set the Times Square cowboy or whatever they call him on fire.
Oh, his breath, yeah. There's no way he's going to be out today. It's too cold.
No, he's been out in colder weather than this. We saw him in much colder weather. But
it's without fail, Charles. This is the #1 activity of the NYPD is just texting. Maybe it's words with friends. Is that still a thing?
I don't know.
Candy Crush?
A lot of
what
cops,
are these cops
though,
doing?
Texting. There's a lot of them, though. Must be some sort of... Anyway, so we could see
Ukraine.
One way or another, we could find ourselves, wake up one morning and discover, because the Russians are concerned, they believe that these churches that have been delegitimized are subject to a treaty that was struck in 1686.
Wow.
And they would have a fair pretext, just as we did in the Mexican-American War, to protect their interests in Ukraine, that they need to move in, because the nationalists in Ukraine, supported by the U.S., are provoking things. And
they love Nazis, the nationalists.
I know. It's just
they are Nazis, basically.
I know, and the idea that we would be in this place. I mean, it doesn't take much which way, this way or.
Well, let's look at this. We have like some kind of snow globe.
This is the Vikings
display here, and then we have a naked somebody else. Everybody's naked.
Well, that's the Lion King. Keep your clothes on, please.
That woman's here to get paid to
That's
put
right.
the clothes back
I'm
on.
going to take my clothes off unless you pay me.
Yeah, it's Charles, Evan Hansen.
Yeah.
Where's the cast? The arm cast. So, okay, so Ukraine Nazis are getting down and... Wait a minute, what's going on right here?
I don't know. But the notion that having failed the people of Afghanistan and destabilized the Middle East and the region in 7 months under Biden, we're now going to destabilize the
Ukraine.
Well, not just Ukraine. It's across a number of countries that used to be within the ambit of the former Soviet Union and its alliance, the Warsaw Pact. That we're just going to start inciting conflicts.
They're still pissed off about 1670.
We gotta go down there.
Well, in addition, we have the provocative moves that Russia has made. So Russia cut off, there's a great story in Zero Hedge today, Russia cut off the export of coal to Ukraine. And according to this story, a third of Ukraine's requirements for coal had hitherto been supplied by Russia. Prices for coal have been soaring because these idiotic green projects aren't working, and it's getting cold, and folks in Europe and elsewhere need their coal-fired plants to actually work so they have electricity, so that they don't freeze to death. So that happened.
That says carbon emissions are at historic levels, Charles.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I think they probably are, thanks to these idiotic, I mean, we had people in the Glasgow conference, we had people who couldn't plan a conference.
Right.
With a straight face saying, well, we failed on that one, so why don't we just tear down your biggest industry, fossil fuels, and we'll drive the price of it way up, and that will hasten renewable energy.
Is that not one of the most amazing high-resolution displays you've ever seen?
It is.
That's new, and it almost looks 3D. It's so sharp. I can't believe that.
I wonder how much that one is.
But look at how that was playing with perspective, and now that was amazing.
Yeah.
That's got to be new. Charles, the thing that bothers me about this Green New Deal is that I am all for preserving the environment and having efficient sources of energy. But the people who are behind all this, and I'm not saying I'm any kind of expert in development, I've developed things, I've spoken about the 3D camera, I've been telling people about the development of the Crowdsource the Truth video server on subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. But when you even do that level of development, when you dip your toe into a remotely complex bit of development with an integrated system that has all kinds of moving parts and things, you realize that upending something to start new is not the right way to do it at all. What they need to be focusing on is hyper efficiency and improving the technologies that we currently have while simultaneously bringing those other technologies online.
Right, let's go over to 6th and maybe down or down 5th, whatever.
Sure.
I don't know what time it is, but just mindful of the time.
4 o'clock.
Yeah, maybe we. So, the people who've got these ideas for the Green New Deal are economically illiterate and stupid and arrogant.
Technologically illiterate as well.
Right.
And what they're proposing is implausible.
Right, and apparently that Greta Thunberg was out singing some song.
Rick Astley, she Rick-rolled everybody.
But she also was making fun of climate change or something. She was dissing the whole concept of climate change. Now she's changed her mind. I mean,
did Joe Sniffer? Was there a Joe?
Well, I have news on that, Jason. I mean, I know you like Ethereum and Bitcoin, but an inside source has told me that shortly Biden is going to introduce a new digital currency.
Shit your pants coin?
Shitcoin, yeah, for short.
People were pleased, I think, with the newly announced national holiday, Incontinence Day.
Let's go over. This is all. And actually, we haven't talked about the art department's great work. But
thank you. Yeah, this was not a movie, of course, but I mean, this is a quote from a newspaper in the 1990s, but I feel like it's probably an older quote. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. I mean, is it from maybe like?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Could be.
Is it from that?
I know you remember that we're in deep trouble when you start asking me about movies, but
that's
whatever.
an older movie that I'm not as.
What the hell?
Oh wow! Look at that.
I was trying to get past the.
No, Carvel is here now. That's new.
I thought you were more excited about art, ink, tattoo, and piercing.
Carvel is one of these rare things that I don't even know what the ingredients are. I'm sure it is.
You don't want to know, probably plastic.
But I've loved it since I was a kid. And it's for
soft ice cream?
See, it's new. They're building this. You can't get Carvel that easily in New York City, so that's good that Times Square is adding a Carvel. Super scoopers, Charles. I'd be very on board if they made an organic, grass-fed variety of Carvel.
Yeah, the Carvel family had I don't think they still have it, but they had a very large property in Dutchess County, New York, in a town called Pine Plains. They had maybe as much as 1,000 acres, where all the buildings were like, they looked like Carvel style serving, restaurants or something. It was not very nice.
Right.
A lot of land.
It's a weird company because, I mean, the commercials were bad. You're right, the buildings look weird. But the ice cream is so damn good. He invented soft serve ice cream.
Did you really?
And I'm sure it's one of those stories where he's like delivering ice cream and the freezer broke and he's like, maybe nobody will notice. Well, and they're like, hey, this is great.
Well, there's another guy up in Millbrook. I don't know if he's still alive, but he's a very nice guy. And the first time I met him, he asked first.
That really shocked me.
He asked first, so what do you do? And I said, as little as possible. He said, what are you talking about? I said, well, I'm retired. How can you be retired? I said, I'm retired, 20 years ago. And anyway, so I could tell he was begging me to ask him, what do you do?
Right.
And I just didn't. But then I finally figured I better do it. So what do you do? He said, well, I am the inventor of the chip witch.
Oh, wow.
And he made a lot of money off that.
I was going to say,
very nice guy.
Be. But to call yourself the inventor of the chip witch is like, really? So
No, it was his company.
I mean, I'm just saying, inventing the chipwich, it's like, if you met Carrier and he's like, well, I figured out that if you had a evaporator and chemical coolant to compress the air, we invented air conditioning. It's like, wow, that's good. Chipwich is like, I was stoned and didn't have a bowl, so I just put some ice cream on a cookie.
Well, no, I think by inventing, I think he was being modest, and what he really meant to say is he took it to market, which is not so easy.
That's a different story. Putting ice cream on a cookie is not that impressive.
Let's actually walk by Fox here. Let's
Yeah.
keep going, and we'll walk by down Fifth, and we'll take
Sure.
a look at how Fifth Avenue is crumbling into the dirt.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you walk past Fox, you see the particularly at this time of day, you'll see guests walking in and out. I saw Donald Trump here once, actually.
That's cool.
They must have some important people in there now because there's 2 police people right there.
Where is Trump? Is he in Florida or?
I think he's in Mar-a-Lago. I don't know. I am not my Trump's keeper.
Oh, you know, I saw an interesting piece of video earlier.
And this is Joe Biden's, he invented this business.
What are you, nuts?
Nuts for nuts.
Yeah. I saw a piece of video earlier today, which was Louis Gohmert, and I gotta hand it to Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's super energetic.
I like her,
I
actually.
like her too. And so they went over to the jail in D.C. where they're holding all these
It's outrageous.
January 6 guys, and this lady who's the guard or the cop or whatever it was wouldn't let them in, and she's just stonewalling like, well, we're not authorized, and they were being very polite and professional. Louis Gohmert, very kind of like, even-tempered guy. He was just like, we're Congress, we control this jail, we have oversight of this, and they just wouldn't let them in.
Yeah, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. And Gohmert, his background, he's a lawyer. He was a judge, top judge in Texas, if not the top judge in Texas. I mean, these are, but to me, that you have the idiocracy in the mainstream press, mainstream corporate-owned press, just allowing 600 people, whatever it is, to languish in this prison.
Yeah,
Some not even on charges yet.
right.
And nobody's saying anything about it, but we have all these protesters protesting who they're trying to free, they're different, the Black Panthers and all this other kind of stuff. People blow up buildings. It's just such a double standard here.
Oh, well, right, they blew up the police station in
Right.
Seattle or whatever.
Right. But let's
Antifa.
take these people and just chuck them in jail. And let's not really figure out what happened to Ashley Babbitt.
What about Kamala Harris paying that thing to bail people out? And I mean, the thing that is just so stupid and frustrating is that they keep calling it an insurrection.
It was not.
Despite the fact that no one has been charged with that crime. To me, it's like having a defendant who, robbed a piece of candy from a 7-Eleven and referring to it as his murder trial.
Right. It's outrageous, and it's an outrageous miscarriage of journalism that nobody with a Pulitzer Prize has seen fit to take this apart and just say, look, you can't do this. You can't keep 600 Americans in prison. This what we've become. Is this the Stasi?
Yes. And what happened to Trump's demand that I guess I know what happened. The answer is nothing. But didn't he say, hey, take back the Pulitzer Prize from all these dopes
He did.
who lied?
Well, of course they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So we're coming up, I don't know if it's open. I don't like the Chinese Communist Party, but I do like Chinese food.
Right.
And this restaurant here, it looks kind of tacky from the outside, but the food is fantastic. Here.
They've integrated with Five Guys. John.
Yeah, so for you, if you don't like Chinese food, you can have your
The Five Guys.
Five Guys, and I'll meet you after dinner.
And then what? You go upstairs? Oh yeah, look at that.
It's really very, very good. It's high quality Chinese food, and they serve it in big plates, a big
do
serving.
you think the person living on the second floor is sick of smelling lo mein cooking all day?
That's right. More duck bones.
Could you imagine? You're like thinking, should I rent this apartment? I wonder. There's a billion rats under there.
But honestly, the food, it's expensive Chinese food, actually. It's
Is
good.
it?
Yeah, quite expensive.
It tastes good, but it just makes me feel sick right away. Here's the Nintendo store for people who are interested in that.
That's a ringing endorsement. You should do restaurant reviews.
It tastes
Tastes
good, but it makes
I
me
feel
feel
like
sick
shit immediately. But I liked it. I had a good time. It's like the time.
Eat here if you're close to a toilet.
That's right. It's like the time I've told the story before, but perhaps you've forgotten. In the summer between, let's see what this was, 7th and 8th grade, I went to this camp in New Hampshire, and I met this girl from Long Island. Well, Westbury actually, and she
I've been there.
invited me. I'm sure she invited me to her house for the weekend. Her parents took us to is it Peter Goulet? What's the guy's name? Or somebody Goulet? Robert Goulet.
Robert Goulet.
Robert Goulet. And that family, by the way, is a very rich old New York family.
He's an actor, right?
Right, singer. Robert Goulet. And it was in one of those, with the Westbury whatever center, and it was August.
Oh, Westbury Music Fair.
Well,
That
it was
theater in the round thing?
I think that might have
That's
been indoors, and
That's
it was
it,
air
Westbury
conditioning.
Music Fair.
And it was very, very
I saw
cold.
George Carlin there one time.
Well, it was very, very cold.
Oh.
So in the air conditioning, I was shivering, and I got back to their home, and I had trouble sleeping, and I wasn't feeling well, and I came back, and my mother took one look at me and said, "We're going to the doctor." So we go to the doctor. It's up on 98th Street, or 93rd Street, or something like that. And he takes one look at me, and he says, "Just stay right here." He goes in the next room, and an ambulance arrives, and I go direct to Mount Sinai Hospital, where I spend 10 days.
Wow.
And so when I get there, and I've been well educated by my mother, you got to write thank you notes.
Right.
So,
Thanks for the pneumonia.
No, so I write this really nice letter to Mrs. I won't say her name. Dear Mrs. No name, thank you so much for your kind hospitality. I'm writing you this letter from my hospital bed, where I have this and that and the other thing. And the woman was in my room like the next day.
Wow, that's nice.
But it was hilarious.
Glad
I wasn't
you recovered.
thinking, I'm not sure if I'll survive, but I really enjoyed your house. Thanks for your hospitality.
Wow. Well, let's just stop here for a second
Sure.
and evaluate the amazing array of things that are.
This is the kind of store I go in. Retail for lease. 33.
Exactly. Well, we can see Trump Tower there in the distance for people who are looking for that.
Yeah, it doesn't look terribly busy.
Well,
An interesting thing about a lot of people have shades up in their apartments. You see that? Like that's Trump. Is that Trump Tower?
no, it's the one beyond
Oh,
it
yeah.
with the stair step kind of thing.
That's Olympic Tower, I think.
Just don't leave home without the tech. I don't think he's actually a cop though. He's just a security guard.
Yeah.
He's training. If you
He's
can
learning how to text.
text enough,
He'll
then
take
you
the-
can take the police
You
examination.
take the text exam.
Yeah.
You can text 60 words a minute.
You
You're in.
are right for the NYPD.
You're on sergeant track. You'll be a
Yeah.
detective in no time.
Put the blinders on and look down. That looks like Kellyanne Conway's husband.
It's not.
What's his name?
George Conway.
That's not him, but it looked like him.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this where you keep your money?
No. It's a dangerous job. Oh yeah, we've forgotten to speak about the fact that Chesa Boudin's father has now been released from prison.
I'm
His
so
sentence
relieved.
commuted by the disgusting Emmy Award losing governor Andrew Cuomo. That's his new title, Charles. Emmy Award losing governor. I'm still allowed to talk about the Emmys.
Right.
They're trying. Well, I won't discuss that.
Well,
but
so one other thing that we need to talk about, unless you
real quick, Bill Ayers tweeted this. I found it kind of bizarre. He's like, David is coming home. And they were all excited. That guy could wait. He's crossing against the light.
he's bringing all kinds of diamonds or something in there.
I don't really care. This guy's got a gun.
A lot of guns.
Yeah, why did they let those guys walk around with guns?
They're licensed, Jason.
But I thought you can't get a license in New York City to have a gun.
I think when I say you, I mean a private person. Unless you're Mike Bloomberg.
Right, like how do those guys get guns? Why does Mike Bloomberg get a gun and I don't?
Because he's worth $50 billion and you're not. Yet.
Right. Well,
So,
yeah.
so just one thing we often forget to talk about things, and I
Yes.
kick myself when
We should make a list.
we should, but that would require organization on both of our parts. it's fun to be spontaneous. So Elon Musk,
Oh yeah.
the tweet, he got somebody bitch slapped him for being rich. Let's just wait. I don't want to go right on this guy's head.
We got static right here though.
Okay, so he, some asshole said, well, for 2%, if we took 2% of Elon Musk's 300 billion in wealth, we could eliminate poverty worldwide.
Hunger.
Hunger, rather, yeah, worldwide. And Musk said, okay, if you provide me accounting for the World Food Program that proves that this money has gone for its intended use, I'll sell $6 billion worth of Tesla stock right now, and give it to the World Food Program.
Did that affect the stock price when he said that?
I don't know. There were other issues with the stock price over Hertz and Avis or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. But so staying on this for a second, there was a big war back and forth with this asshole influencer who was making these comments, and then with Musk. And then Musk followed it up by accusing the UN. He said it's well known that there's a pedophile ring in the UN that is forcing children to give oral sex to UN people handing out this food in order to get the food.
Is that calculated into the $6 billion or?
No, it's a related point. He's just trying to say, listen, don't you talk to me about all charities are great. And then on a completely unrelated topic, I was interviewed at Washington Square Park this morning, and while waiting there, I see this guy with a coffin, a very imposing looking black guy with a coffin, well dressed, filled with money. So fake money? Fake money. Oh. I'll show you. Fake money.
Oh.
And so I go up to him and I said, what's this all about? And he said, well, listen, people really need to be careful before they give money to charities that claim they're doing health care.
Wow, the first guy you've met in Washington Square Park who's not an idiot.
Right, and I said to him, well, let him, he runs an organization called give.org. I haven't looked it up. His last name is Taylor. He gave me his email. And I said, let me tell you a little bit about what I'm doing, what we're doing. And I explained we're exposing charity fraud. And I said, do you know what the biggest charity fraud in the world is? It's a collection around...
Did he know it?
He didn't know, but his eyes opened up. And I said, listen, look me up, and I'll do some research. But we have this podcast show that we're doing, and
maybe we'll have him on.
Exactly. But he's...
Charles, what about the Weed World Foundation?
That's right. The Mayhem Foundation.
Wait, that's not Weed World, that's Weed Deliver. That's a competitor.
Yeah, nice.
Oh no, it is Weed World. It is Weed World.
But that Craftsman thing there, that can't be good for the environment.
It's just a gasoline generator. I'll tell you what it's good for is you get some stupid set PA to fill it up and light it on fire. That happens a lot.
But here we are in the belly of the beast, 44th Street and 5th. Seeing more stores open, I guess. A lot more people.
Well,
a year ago it wasn't.
Rexon Realty, I believe, was that company.
A year ago it wasn't like this.
And Best Buy is open there now. I'm surprised by that.
It was. Actually, when I was going to set up my hedge fund, we had negotiated a good deal for space in there, and we just didn't go forward on the project for a variety of reasons. But it's an old building, but they have some nice space, reconfigured space in it.
Uh-huh.
And it's an excellent location for people who live in the suburbs, and there are many hedge funds around here.
Good access to lamb gyros here on the street.
Yeah, and I got a nice email from my bank saying that because I'm such a good customer, and I'm not really a good customer of this particular bank, that
well, you're not robbing it. That makes you a good customer these days.
They encouraged me. They decided it's a very good idea to get a Maserati.
Who said that? The bank?
Bank, and that they'll cover the first 2 lease payments.
Come on now, the bank is telling you this?
Yeah.
You're obviously banking with different banks than me. Charles, buy a Maserati.
They'll lease it. Okay.
Develop a cocaine habit. We're trying to,
I won't say which bank, but it's a big bank. But
that's got to be HSBC.
No, I'm not saying it's not. I wouldn't bank at HSBC. I will answer no further questions.
Oh, yeah,
I just thought you'd find that amusing.
That is.
That's really responsible. Just what I need.
I don't think you should buy a Maserati. Although I do think anybody out there who has money and wants an awesome car, General Motors just announced the 2023 Z06 Corvette, most powerful naturally aspirated V8 ever made. And the reason I mention it is because somehow in my brain I'm detecting that type of car is going to transition to an electric drivetrain very soon. And when you get a classic automobile like that, and it's like sort of final classic configuration, I don't know if this is or isn't going to be the final, but I just feel like someday that car is going to be incredibly valuable. So if somebody's out there and can get one, you should. I would buy one if I could. If they have
Maybe
any
you should.
plastic. It's
Drop
way
everything.
more money than I could ever, I don't know about ever, but definitely not right now. This building looks like a wreck, Charles.
Maybe coming down or being reconfigured. This whole area to our left is all part of the plan to be reconfigured and torn down. Most of it was built in maybe pre-World War II.
Now they're going to build it back better.
Yeah, build barf better. So anyway, so the Ukraine thing is interesting. The Musk thing is interesting. The Mcauliffe thing is interesting.
Did the UN respond and say they're going to?
I haven't. Well, yeah, of course, people are calling Musk crazy for saying that, but
It's true. It's documented.
Oh, I know. In many countries, it's been the case, and it's testament to why the charity laws actually need to be tightened up. When somebody goes and says you're going to operate a charity in the name of helping children or women or vulnerable people or animals, the first thing you should say, that's really nice that you want to do that. Guess what you're getting? You're going to be strip searched, and we are going to go through your background to 3 generations into your family to try to understand how many crooks might be associated with it. Because the number of such charities that have abused
Most
the
of
laws,
them.
right? And so the fact that you say that you really want to do this makes us really worry about
You
you.
need a lot of transparency on that.
And then if you take it a step further and say you're going to do it internationally, that's when we really take your pants down and say, no, you're not doing that.
Well, but I mean, at the same time, it's like we want people to be able to start charities, but I agree, it's a very difficult problem.
Well,
maybe let's go through Bryant Park.
Sure. So the problem with people who want to give money away internationally is that a lot of these people are kind-hearted, good souls with no experience in business, and in particular, no experience with international business. Where you may assume, let's say you're a God-fearing, good person, and you really try to live by the golden rule and all that. A lot of those people are very naive, and they don't want to believe the evil that does lurk around the place. And then the challenge of running, and it's tough enough to run a business in two offices
I know
in
that.
one city,
In 2 cities even.
but to try to do it across time zones and different continents,
Languages,
and
right.
with different currencies whose values change all the time, that's very, very hard.
Does Elon Musk have a foundation? He must.
He must.
He must.
I don't know, maybe. So, and that just a little dead giveaway for one of the reasons I knew the Clinton Foundation was a fraud at the beginning, is that when you operate as they do or claim they do in 30 or 40 countries, you have lots of different currency swings. If I approve an expense in dollars today, and it gets spent
It's going to
in
be
Indian,
slightly different, and that's got to be accounted for.
in Indian rupees 6 months from now, there are going to be changes, and those will have to go into a bucket.
Right.
And there is no such bucket on their financial statements, unrealized gain, loss, foreign currency. So that tells me that they on purpose are not keeping track of that. And that's,
Use that to finagle.
you can finagle more than a bagel with that.
Right.
Go this way?
Yeah. Charles, they've got the Christmas village
I
set up
really
now.
don't like this Christmas. This is where I like Christmas, but I don't like this thing. It's just junk.
Well, no,
and this is
sometimes-
where Dersh and his family were gumming up traffic and just stopped right in the
What
middle
was
of it.
Dersh doing?
He was here, I don't know, with his family a number of years ago.
Just shopping?
Shopping, and these are the guys. I'm not claustrophobic, but I'm not into this kind of stuff.
I guess it kind of reminds me. I like them in Europe, right? I used to go every year to this 3D conference in Liège, Belgium. And they have a beautiful Christmas village in the town, and I mean, it was just, the weather was cold as hell, but it was so crisp, and when it was snowing, it's just, I don't know, it's like that
Is Joe Biden the celebrity endorser of that?
So any more news about Hunter lately, or?
Well, there was the Babylon Bee piece. You saw that.
I don't know if I saw
Joe
that.
Biden told the Pope, and everyone was wondering in the meeting what was going on, and he offered to have Hunter Biden repaint the Sistine Chapel.
Oh my God.
I didn't say that, dude. People are just joking about that.
That's funny. Well,
So yeah, I guess this was during the pandemic. We didn't have this. So yeah, here's the ice skating.
They only have this during the, Christmas time, right?
Generally
here's
speaking.
a dog wearing a costume and socks.
Shouldn't talk about women like that.
Do they always have this ice skating rink here?
Yes. Not always, but in recent years.
Oh, this is new.
That is
Prime
new.
Video Lodge. I don't remember the ice skating rink.
Oh, it's been here for quite a few years.
So Amazon now runs this. They probably own all this. That would make sense. You can't even buy Christmas Village stuff without Jeff Bezos getting the money. Huh. Well, let's, now what is that?
That's,
Christmas. The Winter Village at Bryant Park from Bank of America.
we may not be able easily to get out.
You can't just go straight that way? No, you're right.
Yeah.
There's a fence there.
Oh, are there people on the other side of it?
Oh yeah, let's go this way. Wow, this is like a whole restaurant they've just stuck here in the middle of the...
That I think is new and seems nice. I remember as a kid going roller skating in the Woolman rink. I mean, ice
Right.
skating in the Woolman rink.
That's what I mean. This was, I don't remember.
No, it's been here. No, because I used to work in the library here. It's, right in the library. Ever since I started doing that in 2007-8, it's been here.
I like the movies in the summertime outside.
Oh yeah,
That's actually kind of a lot of people ice skating, I would say.
yeah, it is. It is.
Just another
Just
sign that
things
most
are-
people don't have jobs.
That's right.
Oh yeah, here's this place, Dough, that normally has a gigantic line outside it. Cookie dough confections. We walk by
Bun
that frequently.
ramen. What is bun ramen?
I find ramen to be very salty. People love it, but it always salts me out.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a hat.
I actually have a hat in my pocket.
A hat of your choice.
It's
Look at
colder
it.
than people realize.
Indiana Jones hat.
Oh, I think people would want to see you in one of those hats, Charles.
That's not
You're more of
happening.
a hat style
Yeah.
guy than me. Actually, I meant to ask you, does it look like my hair is growing back, Charles?
I don't know. Is it trying to? Growing back?
It's been falling out. And
This happens with age.
I know. And when I first came on the scene and, the cavalcade of idiots that are constantly changing but still bothering me, they've been saying I had hair plugs and all this kind of stuff. Absolutely not true. I would not do anything like that. I don't like surgery. Next to lawsuits, it's my least favorite thing. But I found this micro-rolling little needle titanium thing that you're supposed to poke your head with, and it causes your hair to grow back. We'll see
So
if it
they
works.
say. Okay. Hell's
That's it.
Kitchen hot sauce. What could possibly go wrong with that?
I actually like these hot sauce stores. There's one in the farmer's market in LA that is much bigger than this, but it has a lot of hot sauce.
But I mean, Hell's Kitchen is not a place I associate with fine food.
But hot sauce,
Yeah.
yeah, you even have Hell's Kitchen hot sauce
That's
right
the name
there.
of the place. Hell's Kitchen hot sauce.
Oh, do they make the hot sauce? Oh, I guess they do. I thought they were just selling other people's hot sauce, but well, there's the Christmas Village charge. That's nice to see.
So you want to go down 7th or you want to go down 6th?
I don't mind. However,
You tell me.
well, let's go down 7th because we always
Oh.
go down 6th and we can
Sure.
test. So I think what we probably just experienced is because the broadcast is now going out on 5G, which I realize upsets some people,
Right.
but the 5G is here whether we use it or not. I think on the west side there's probably less strength, and what we experienced was a different type of failure from a different type of network.
Yeah.
I
So
guess.
here's that Whole Foods market that was closed off to customers. Now it's open back up. But you know how I feel about Whole Foods, but this has,
Fine seafood.
yeah, let's keep going.
It has the
Smell of
homeless
it.
food bar.
Yeah, well, they had actually people going into this Whole Foods and YouTubing or podcasting
Oh, really?
homeless people going into the what do you call it, the slop bar or whatever it is,
food bar, the hot bar.
the hot bar, and just reaching in with their dirty hands and picking up food and mashing it into their mouths.
So how are people not getting sick from that?
I
that
know.
strikes me as something you would definitely get sick from.
I know.
But if you're not, that means it gets into your body and your body's like, whoa, there's some crazy homeless germs right there.
That's right.
Get the immune system on it right away.
And again, particularly, this is why I have no time for these virtue signalers who are trying to make a big deal about how noble they are with their service and the Clintons. If the pandemic were as dangerous as perhaps it is, you would have thought the first thing you'd want to do in a city like this one that has an amazing homeless problem
Yes.
is pick up all of these people, get them off the street,
Get them to some medical care.
and get them cared, get them sorted out.
Clean up the garbage.
One way, to keep the garbage off the street, but to allow people who likely are mentally ill to continue to live in adverse, challenging conditions where their bad decisions to be dirty and whatever do affect everyone else who's walking by. And if this is so contagious and dangerous,
Right.
you would want to make sure that they, in our self-interest, you'd want to take care of them. And it's not like we spend no money on homelessness. I mean, in New York City,
You got to ask Bill de Blasio's wife what
right,
happened.
a little late for that.
Now, he says he's going to run for governor. That's
Hey,
probably going to be about as successful as his run for president.
Well,
Nobody
I'm going
likes
to be a
that
rap
guy.
star.
You have a better chance at that than he does of being governor.
Yeah, my chances are. Who is this person? I've never heard of him, obviously. Cuddy Camaro?
I don't know. Is that the guy with the song about F. Joe Biden? Or
Yeah.
Let's go.
No,
Biden?
well, it's somebody else.
Oh, I think he's like a Christian rapper or something.
Or somebody, but he's I guess he's getting on the wrong side of the COVID-19 debate, or he's doing.
Oh, and they banned it. No, they had medical misinformation, they said,
Right.
in the song, so they banned it.
But it's like I'm very happy to live my life the way I'm living it. I don't view myself as cool. I don't aspire to be cool. I don't.
I think you're cool. There's
well,
Peter Nygaard.
He's definitely cool because he's in prison.
It's cool in
And
his
it's
heels
cool
in
in there.
prison.
But for de Blasio to think that on the strength of his record in this city, he's a legitimate chance to be governor of New York State. I mean, he's got
The
more
dude
than
is totally not self-aware.
Yeah. The dude is fucking crazy.
And then there's that just horrible picture of his daughter naked on the subway.
I didn't see that.
Oh God!
I don't want to see that.
Believe me, it's permanently destroy a part of your retina.
Why was she
It's like
naked?
looking at an eclipse. Exactly.
Hey,
When
actually-
you see her, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Why is this person naked?
So on a lighter note, on our recently Joe Biden did a live stream to explain the Build Back Better program, and I think it had 181 or something like that viewers. That's it, 181. So they took it off the White House site because it was too embarrassing to keep that metric up there. And we regularly, let's not put the number, but we regularly do better than that.
I think we could make Sunday with Charles Ortel's old shoe, and you'd get more than 180 people
But
watching it.
you would think that somebody who had some self-respect would say, listen, I'm the President of the United States, we have 335 million people, we're trying to give $1.2 trillion away. I'm trying to explain that, and I can only get 181 people to watch the thing. Something's bad
It's a
wrong.
bad sign.
I'm hanging up my spurs. So anyway, as you know better than I, when you watch something on YouTube, they have suggestions based on what you've just seen. What should you watch? And every time I do that now, first it was Rodney Dangerfield, and I watched a whole bunch of them. And so then now it's Don Rickles, and kind of bad that the Biden video was paired with these people who are, abrasive and
I'm
making.
surprised they didn't just send you an ad for Depends after that. What is this thing advertising? Bonsai
Win
trees?
one, Ethereum.
Oh, NFTs. So you're getting this. This is just a digital. It's an animation of a tree.
I have no idea what it is.
That's ridiculous. So this is the new thing: NFTs, non-fungible tokens.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not sure if I
I don't sign on to that.
like that.
So but just finishing on Rickles.
Yeah.
He, in his prime,
Funny as
he
hell.
was unbelievably hilarious, and he was brought in to do.
Ronald Reagan's inauguration with Webster.
That was his, I think that was his second.
Yeah.
That was his.
These guys want to kill, Charles.
But the first one might have been Dangerfield, was in 81 for the first inauguration.
Uh-huh.
Maybe he was at both. But those guys were so funny and really taking shots at Reagan and both of them. I mean, in the 85 one, Rickles was just, he just came out guns blazing, not figuratively, guns blazing, making fun of that actor, and then tearing into Ronald Reagan, he's an idiot, and this and that. And, do you think he heard it? And I find that refreshing, actually, that the President of the United States
Can laugh at himself.
Exactly. We need more of that. You can't set this society up where you can't criticize, and you shouldn't. Everything has to be a positive story about you, or people get executed.
That's what they're doing. Joe Biden, he's like the king. You can't insult the king. Cullen told me that in Thailand it still exists.
Right.
That if you insult the king, you go to jail.
I know it's a different country, right? They don't have a free First Amendment, and it's a monarchy.
But that's what I'm saying. We're not supposed to be that. But now, if you say "Let's go, Brandon," you get in trouble.
Well, but you see, DeSantis just said that.
What did he
Let's
say?
go, Brandon.
DeSantis said it.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. I think that's funny as hell. And look, people make fun of me, and I'm fine with it. I'm sure I make mistakes and say things I shouldn't, do things I shouldn't. Make fun of me. If I deserve it, I'll laugh.
Yeah.
If I don't deserve it, I'll turn the channel.
Well, I think it always depends on, first of all, the source, and if it's mean-spirited versus
malicious. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I meant to send this to you. I don't know how this came up, but because I was listening to some music, and then it brought me to this roast of I couldn't tell if it was a roast of Snoop Dogg or Justin Bieber or what.
Justin Bieber.
But Martha Stewart.
Yeah, she's funny.
She was so funny.
She is funny.
It made me immediately. I like Martha Stewart now because she was really making fun of herself about being in jail. I made a shank out of a fine cloth leather, and she was talking about
She's
one of her
funny.
little homemaking projects about how to stab the biggest butch in the block so that they wouldn't get a piece of Martha. It was so funny.
She is very funny. And
So what was her deal? She was a model, and then
I don't know about model. She was a caterer or something like that, and then she had this home
show cooking stuff.
She became Monster, and then her products started going into Kmart. She made a lot of money off that. And then she got involved in insider trading, so they put her away to Comey, put her in prison, James Comey.
She's got to be into something else for them to care about that. Why?
Well, I have a friend, I don't know if he's still alive, who knows her well, so she's a bit of
this guy's going right through the...
He doesn't care.
Well, that's a taxi. He's not even looking. Hey, pay attention.
So he saw a nice rag.
That guy.
Saw a nice rag there. Yeah, let's get a COVID test, Jason. This looks legitimate.
Who is behind this lab cube?
In the cold, you're going to go out, and I'm sure, 100% accurate, those tests.
2 months, they're going to repaint those trucks Weed World.
There you go, Jason. This is your kind of thing. Godiva chocolate cheesecake.
That's a little fancy. Although that does sound good, Godiva chocolate cheesecake.
Yeah, I used to like Godiva chocolates. Years when I liked chocolate.
What was this?
It's still empty. So you take this poor guy. I don't know if this wearing a bag on his or whatever he is.
Definitely today is we're getting closer to winter.
We are indeed.
So we may soon be out of days because now I'm feeling my hands are cold. Soon we're going to go to gloves.
Right.
It's interesting the different outdoor mobile live stream challenges based on the weather.
We should go out in a blinding snowstorm and see how that works.
I've done that.
Have you?
Uh-huh.
So
I actually like walking around New York City in big snowstorms. It's calm.
We
and
did
quiet.
have we did have a A-list guest who had to at the last
Selling
minute.
weed right on the street.
At the last minute, had to cancel for today. We have a different A-list guest for next week. Let's hope that person doesn't have to cancel. But I agree with you. We should probably get back into this is book selling season.
Well, and somebody commented early in the show when we had the signal break, oh, Jason and Charles should get a studio and do a podcast indoors. I was like, dude, roll back and...
That's what we need to have. There you go.
Do you think that's worth $99, Charles? That's an ugly
Comic
suit.
relief. That's it. Joe Biden will come out wearing that suit.
It's the Joker. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Joe Biden. I will say, when you see him in a suit, he's got the pockets square. It looks like somebody is spending a lot of time.
Look, in the old Brooks Brothers, all the shirt salesmen and suit salesmen were impeccably dressed. Does that mean they should be president of the United States? I mean,
No.
right?
Definitely not. But it looks like somebody else is doing that because I don't even think... The guy doesn't know where the hell he is.
I know.
I don't even
But
know.
to take a lid today, first day back, all this stuff, and you're no public meetings, that's crazy.
It's useless.
And again, I mean, I'm not a political expert, and he is a self-styled political expert, a veteran of I don't know how many different campaigns, and he's campaigning for these two bills. Think of forget the let's just call it shit show with the Pope. Forget that for a second. Put that out of your mind. Don't think about it.
Right. Don't think about how we destroyed Afghanistan either.
All Afghanistan. I mean.
Right.
But here's a guy who's so much experience. He says before he goes on his trip, he says, I really need Congress to pass these bills by Tuesday.
Didn't
They haven't been drafted. Then they don't have, these bills have got to pass. There's got to be votes or no votes. It's really important that Terry McAuliffe win, and I think he's going to win. I mean, in like 8 days, everything the guy has said is proven to be wrong.
Well, you have to give Barack Obama credit. He did say everything Joe touches turns to shit.
But equally, he said that what Youngkin was saying about what happened with the parents is fake news. Remember he said that?
No, did Youngkin say that?
Obama
or did McAuliffe
said
say
it. Obama said it.
Obama said what Youngkin said was fake news. Yes,
Right.
I heard that. That was egregious.
People forget that Obama has a horrible track record for endorsing people who then lose.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, horrible.
And Trump is doing the opposite.
Trump's looking pretty good on that front.
I think he gave the statistic in that Janine interview of
Like 140.
and 2 or something like
Yeah.
that. There's an ad for Toys R Us. I thought it went out of business.
It could be operating in reorganization.
Oh, maybe it's inside Macy's is what they're saying. They probably have a toy section.
But the thing about Trump is, first of all, he has a reputation for action. He makes decisions.
Trump time.
And he makes mistakes, but he makes fewer mistakes than he has victories. And so that's why he might have been worth $10 billion at one point. Biden doesn't have that at all.
No.
And his polling is just, at this point, is outrageously bad. 44% of Democrats in a recent poll don't think that Biden should be the nominee in 2024.
Wow.
That's not a good sign.
And no, and
after
he's
9
just
months.
getting started, right?
You know. How am I doing?
After 3 years, it'll be 0%.
That's right.
Think he should do anything other than go the hell home.
Wasn't it Ed Koch who would always go around saying,
How am I doing?
How am I doing? Biden doesn't dare ask that question.
No, because he knows the answer is not good.
The other thing I did like is the G20 picture. See that?
I don't know.
I think in the first G20 picture, weren't you telling me that something like the leader of Montenegro or something was in the center of the picture, and Trump just goes up and takes the guy by the jacket, puts him to the side, and takes the center. And in Biden's first G20 as president, he was all way on the right-hand side, like at the very edge. Probably
Boot edge.
Well, he probably just pooped his pants again, and
Right.
no one wanted to be next to him. You watch
Yeah, I
out.
saw that guy with the tall boy Heineken sneaking up.
Yeah. This is, by the way, a very dangerous part of town, particularly at this time, and as it gets later. and also in the morning. Gosh, that time I went down to, where was it that I went to meet
Philadelphia.
you? Was it Philadelphia? Or?
Yeah. Philly with Larry's event. Oh, was it?
I know, it was more recent than that. I think it was Boston. When I went to Boston.
Oh, right.
And I was going, I think on the 9 o'clock train, and I mean this on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And it was really dodgy around here. People were setting off fireworks. There were bums everywhere. There were cops around, but not doing anything about anything.
That sounds like a regular day. Yeah. Bums, fireworks, cops doing nothing.
Yeah, and now we
it's
have
the greatest city on earth.
That's right.
Al Pacino. It's a good thing I said that the second he came and said, "What is this? The House of Gucci."
Yeah.
A lot of ads around here. Well, we're getting close to the end here.
Yeah, we're retracing our steps.
Right.
See if we see any of the same bums. But back, I remember when of course I was raised here, so I have one set of memories, but when I came back as a fully employed adult in 1980, in June of 1980, and then as I gradually had money, so that I could afford to do within reason anything I wanted to do in the city. In the 80s and 90s, with some bad years, but more or less in the 80s, throughout the 80s and the 90s, it was a joy to be here.
Yeah.
I mean, every day there was some new improvement. After we got Reagan elected, the stock market started to go up, businesses came back, restaurants came, and stuff wasn't very expensive. Interest rates were going down, inflation
wasn't. It was the heyday.
Yeah.
In my little musical listening '90s hip hop thing that led to Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg showing up on the YouTube. That video for Return of the Mac came on, and I'm watching it, and the guy's driving a Mercedes, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a typical rap video. And then the Concorde flies by.
Right, that was awesome.
I'm like, wait a minute, when the hell did this song come out? And it's 1996, and I'm like, think about that. Think of how much fun everybody was having in 1996 compared to
Look
now.
at this guy, this team here.
What's going on?
Yeah, the Concorde, back in the day when I remember when other people were paying for it, there were weeks when I was on the Concorde round trip 3 times.
That's really something.
And but it was just like going to St. Louis. I mean, it wasn't not that far away because it's only 3 hours. 3 hours 40.
At 1,200 miles per hour.
Well, the point is, it's not as they had day flights. They had you could get on the Concorde at I think 10:30 in the morning.
Isn't it loud as hell on there?
Oh, well, the cabin is soundproof, but yeah, next to the plane it was.
But I mean, even inside it's louder than a normal jet.
Well, one thing that's interesting, the first time I went on it, I had a window seat next to a guy who was like 6'9" and 300 pounds.
Oh my
And the
God.
seats are small.
Yeah.
So, and you're right next to the guy. And then we spent the whole time talking. He was a big executive from some company, I forget which now. Nice guy. But you can have that plane was for the most part it was great, but then occasionally I had a friend.
This woman just flipped off Spectrum News.
Really nice.
I don't know why.
Look at that building for a second. Look at that.
Yeah, I know that went up so quickly.
One that's going up there.
Yeah, that just like.
What's that thing on the side and the slant there?
That is the edge that you can go.
No, at the top on the roof. It's like a plane or something. It's on this, you see, I see the edge, but
oh, that's for cleaning the windows.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there was this guy who worked, a junior guy, and his parents were having their 25th wedding anniversary. The wife didn't like to fly, and the husband surprised her with a trip on the Concorde, shopping trip to England.
It's like, hey, you don't like to fly? How about the most intense flying experience anybody can imagine?
So this happened more than they advertised, but you break the sound barrier. You go up to, I think it was 50 or at least 50,000 feet, maybe 60,000. I forget what.
41,000, I thought.
I think
that might be private jets. You're right. It's higher.
Yeah.
Because you can see the curvature of the Earth from there.
And what would happen is, more frequently than they admitted, that the jets would, the one or more engine would conk, and so when that
go out.
Yeah. And so what would happen on this flight is that happened. And the pilot's reaction is to nosedive the plane down to about 10,000 feet.
Wow, that's got to...
And then if you can't restart both engines, depending on where it happens,
Just ditch in the ocean.
you don't ditch in the ocean, but you go to the closest airport, wherever it
Wow,
may be,
that's amazing.
flying subsonic at low altitude, and it's noisy and it's slow, and and it's terrifying because the plane goes, it makes the sound of dive bombing, and the
Wow.
pilot is preoccupied. He's not exactly going to say, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go into
Right,
the
he's
water."
like, we're about to die.
Nothing.
so-
He doesn't say anything. And so this woman, whatever hair had not been dyed, right, her hair virtually turned white.
Wow.
This experience, and I think they remained married, but it was not a good move.
Well, there's a couple different companies now, Charles, that are trying to revive supersonic commercial flight, and there are a lot of. It's really the problems. People are wondering why don't we have that? I mean, obviously the technology is far superior, and probably the biggest advances are in materials science since the 60s when that thing was created. You didn't have carbon fiber back then and all that composite kind of materials. But now the fuel and the economics of flight and just the business of air transport has changed so much that it's really not the business case for creating a jet. So, I mean, you've been in the whole, mergers and acquisitions in the airline industry. What do you think about this company's decision to call itself Boom Supersonic?
Not so smart. I could have called it Kaboom.
It's like calling it the Puke Restaurant.
That's right, exactly.
Let's go to the Puke Restaurant.
Let's go to the Swill and Barf pub. Yeah,
Come on to the Boom plane.
Yeah, I don't
no,
think
thank
that-
you. I'll take the fly and land without incident plane, even if it's slower.
And then there was the other great thing about the Concorde is you could, coming back from Europe, depending from London. I don't know if you.
Oh, you arrive earlier than you leave.
So you leave at 6:30 English time or whatever, and you get to New York at 5:20 p.m. the same day.
It's pretty good.
Which is good because if you are actually trying to accomplish a lot and not just a playboy,
Right.
You can have mostly a full day in London.
And not throw off your time zone sleep pattern.
Yeah, and this was pre 9/11 when I did all this, so you get out. Many times I would get out to the lounge, which was really nice, and just spend the day in there writing thank you notes and memos and whatever. Interesting.
This is supposed to be what, The Shining?
Marker Graveyard.
See now, but I'm intrigued by this art where every character is wearing masks, and this is what the minds of young artists are preoccupied with now.
Yeah.
So we got these druids wearing Twitter and Facebook and Instagram or whatever. What are these characters?
I don't know. Gotta vax them all. Gotta vax them all.
Wow. Pokemon. My goodness. And then what is that? Is that Typhoid Mary or something? What's the X on her? This is all
From the
promoting
jab.
Get the vaccine.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a great piece of art. Toilet paper.
Very, very odd.
Now, this one here is interesting. The dragon. FIT is a tobacco.
All you need is a Cadillac and it's in business.
Well, there you go.
Oh, that's dinosaurs. Sorry.
Dinosaurs and Cadillacs.
Cadillacs and
Done that
dinosaurs.
already.
Well, Charles, we've come full circle today.
Right, we have an appointment next week, don't we? You're going to dye your hair purple and I'm going to do orange or yellow, whatever that is.
No, but I am going to have another great episode of High Dive with Lee Stranahan tonight at 8:30. Lee has some insights into the changing landscape, a new governor in Virginia, etc. And
Yeah.
people will be able to join us there at 8:30 tonight. Make sure you get onto subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And there's a huge library of sponsor exclusive stuff there.
Good.
And there's so many exciting things that I want to share with people, but I can't do it until next week. So we'll be back tonight and more.